All right, so without any further delay, let's get into our guest for today. I'm thrilled to welcome to the Contraband Wagon Soulbunni, Black trans content creator, artist, amazing painter that I've seen, professional and student, and we're grateful to have Soulbunni here on the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing really good right now. It's a week before school. We start on the 21st. I just got on this really nice I'm on this really nice like creative high right now where I'm just like hella just killing it as far as like being productive with my content. Like I'm actually putting out the work right now, like getting the stuff I've been needing to do, and just like I don't know, it's like a really good moment for me right now. So I'm feeling amazing, and I am honestly so grateful for the amount of support that I've been getting, and yeah, so that's been amazing, and
That is that is just really amazing to hear. Actually, I'm so glad that I'm speaking to you and reaching you about this issue at a time when you're really feeling empowered, if it were. And I know that feeling of getting the content out. You know, I'm feeling the same way. And it's a recent development for me. Marigoth, actually, my partner in this endeavor and in life, has been helping me like kind of put it all together. And it's been amazing to be able to pump out content and just get people's perspectives and a lot of feedback back. So I'm excited for you. Did you manage to achieve the affiliate level at Twitch?
I haven't streamed for 7 days yet. I should be getting that last stream done by Monday.
Excellent,
Um,
excellent. So get that done, move on up, and yeah, I'll make sure that I'm promoting your stuff because it's been very intriguing. I really like your style of doing video essay work, and I guess I wanted to really start there and just talk to you a little bit about what inspired you to start making Black trans content, and what that journey's been like for you.
Thank you. So like basically I'm in a college town, so I've been doing a lot of just like in person like protests and whatnot. So that's like where my starting point is. So I've come from that space where originally I just spoke on Black trans issues. Um yeah, so I first had a lot of grassroots stuff, and then eventually it turned into me wanting to explore the video essay space because of folks like FD Signifier and whatnot that really opened up um, a lot of opportunities for like Black and Brown folks that really we felt at first was originally like a white space that we didn't really feel like we'd be heard or people would care what we have to say. So yeah, so that led to me that wasn't the original inspiration though, but it definitely got me open to it. But I will say this, I will be very vague with it because of it's not really stuff I care to acknowledge or talk about. But there was a creator named Professor Flowers that experienced some online racism from a particular community. And I was watching them like several months before it went down. So I was very relieved to see someone Black within the space that said the things that I've been feeling and wanting to just speak on, and just was so happy to hear someone do it, only to like see them get all this racial hate. So my first video was me dissecting that and essentially just like breaking down like why this is racist, why is this bigotry. It was something along the lines of people like accusing them of wanting white genocide because of them wanting to have wanting Black people in South Africa to be able to liberate themselves or to decolonize, and what decolonization looks like to them, because the decolonization looks different amongst every different communities in different spaces. So what decolonization looks like in America, it's going to look different in Africa, etc. So there was a lot of non-Black people it wasn't just white folks. Don't get me wrong, they were the loudest, but there were some there were some people allowing this to be tokenized that weren't even Black, that thought they could be able to like chime in and speak above Black folks on things. And even just the way they were applying their decolonization approach. Like, again, like what decolonization looks like in Africa or South Africa looks completely different than someone in Canada or America or South America. So I remember I made an example, like a statement in my video where I said, like, indigenous people of America don't have the right or the ability to go speak on or on the behalf of indigenous people in South Africa, etc. So there was just like this entire like bigoted like this approach to these things. And again, like I said, there was like people that weren't Black that were thinking they can speak for us. And again, like, I was very much like, stay in your lane. Like, if you're gonna talk about that, talk about in your community, but don't go use yourself as a token to be able to go further white supremacy, or be like a bullhorn to go be used as a tool to go punch down Black people that are trying to fight against um white supremacy in South America and etc. There's just sorry, it's South Africa. So yeah, so obviously that was my roots, and that's like probably the most like PC way to break it down. But yeah, I will definitely say that. But after that video, I didn't make a video for almost a whole year. I came back and then I made my video that blew me up, that where people found me, which was my transphobia and transmisogynoir video. And yeah, so I was found from that. FD Signifier, pretty much everyone in Cornbread Tube like came across me from that. And then other folks within the, as I would call it, the intersectional video essays, a left video essay, like, so the intersectional left. So yeah, so people, that actually are about it, that really believe in intersectionality, that allow Black people to speak for themselves and they don't feel like they have to speak for Black people, etc. They came in, they boosted me, they really supported me. And I, ever since then, even though like I've only had a few videos out, like I just recently, like on Tuesday, I dropped my, I haven't dropped a video since May because of just like the harassment I experienced and whatnot. But I've went through two waves of harassment, but I can say this, like, now that I'm like just really back, and it's so funny, it's right before school starts, I'm like, I have all this energy and excitement. But yeah, I finally dropped a video Tuesday, and it was like a little short sweet one, just to kind of like, oh, let folks know like, oh, I'm alive, I'm here. And also like treat the algorithm like, hey, like, don't completely think I'm dead, like I'll tiptoe my way back in. So it was, a little short little appetizer
Yeah, I
for
gotta let them know
I
you're still out here for sure.
no, yeah. So especially because like I don't want to like come back with like a big video, which my next video is gonna be pretty big. Um, and it bombed. So, you need to have like a throwaway video when you come back, like, hey, like, or something like, they kind of like, like an appetizer. So something that I didn't really care that only got like 3K views. So like, like I'm just trying to feed the algorithm to like let them know I'm here. So when I do drop this big video, it's gonna do better than the last video. So that's kind of, where I'm at. So
Well, you just
so
dropped
yeah,
like a whole bunch of knowledge on us. So,
I'm not, so I'm mixed, but I don't have, I'm not halfway. And I also don't have, my mom's Black. So, I have a very unique experience as a mixed Black person. So like my dad's Hispanic. So there was like another layer to that. So I did not only experience racism from the white kids, but I experienced racism from mestizos or just like non-Black Hispanic folks that didn't know what Afro Latinos were, etc. So there was just like a lot of just like things that I experienced. And also like I'm from, again, like SoCal, Orange County. So like that's below LA. So Orange County is like a suburban, the whole county is a suburbs, all of it's suburbs. So it's just like, that's all the reason why, like, it was like economic barrier for the reason why like Black people weren't really there at all. Like I think we make, I don't know, I think when I last checked, I think it was like 1.2% or something there. Mine, that's like the county underneath LA. So you could have just imagined like how that's like an immediate like economic, like there's like essentially like a redlining, like if you don't have at least this base minimum of income, you can't live here. So yeah, so I was all, like I said, all my life. So I was all those, thoughts of the flashbacks of all like the people calling me, assuming I'm ratchet, or assuming I listen to hip hop music, or assuming I'm ghetto, simply off of the basis of me just being Black. They didn't care to get to know me. They didn't care to see that I was drawing anime at the time. They didn't even hear the way I talk. Like I didn't even, I was raised in the same environments as them. So, same Orange County accent that people still tease me about with like, Valley Girl accent and shit like that. So it was just like very amazing for me to kind of like see like, so that was my experience. So all that was bottling up, so it kind of it blew up, as we all know. And
Well, you turned it into
I
something positive, it sounds like, and productive.
oh yeah, so basically there was this first protest in our college town. Well, it was in our, but the town below, but it was led by I'm just gonna call it. I'll call it the white organization. I'll just call it that. And when I tell you, I have never been to a protest at this time ever before, but I was hot, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I went with a friend, and it was raining, and there was no sense of direction. The organization was there. I was, it just like people got up, and then immediately when they started marching, that no one was leading it. It was just like a mob essentially, and it was like all these white people that are not there for George Floyd, that are not there for Black people, that are just there to go wreak havoc. Because I remember like even the sense like they were just like, I remember this police car, and I remember like these white people were like chasing the police car and then bashed the back of the window of it, and escalating things. I'm like, oh my god, like y'all are not here for Black people, y'all here to have your white, I called it white anarchy, because that's exactly what it was. It was like these white people acting a fool. This is their one chance to go get their little, like, I don't know, their white anarchy energy out, out of their system. They're using this happened all over America. A lot of people took advantage of this moment to go do the most. We're not thinking for accident. They weren't there for Black people. They weren't there for George Floyd, etc. And I remember when I was seeing that, I kept falling back. Like I would be in the front, and then when I see them acting out, I just keep I'll let them go further in the front. But it was always a back and forth when I was walking, because it was a hot mess, and because they were doing the most. By the time we came back in a circle from, because we started on downtown, and we were, eventually came back to downtown, but it was like a really long march. Like, so we went in a big
So,
circle, but
so just real quick, I have to tell you this because so many of the things that you said so far really resonate with me, and I have like stories that like mirror your experience. And one of them is after Trump was elected, I was living in New York City, and there was like a 10,000 person march through the streets of New York City with like cabs honking and like waving us on and stuff. But I had a very similar experience there, like of just like looking around at the sea of people, which was mostly white people, and just realizing that like we're not thinking about these things the same way, and we're not there for the same reason. You know what I mean? And it's very isolating, even though you're surrounded by a sea of people. I don't know if you felt that feeling, but that's really how I felt.
oh, 100%. So, okay, so I wear glasses. It was raining. I couldn't see nothing. And I remember my friend that, and they're not my friend anymore, especially after that. So they were acting a fool right amongst everyone else. And I again, like I remember when I lost my friend 8 different times because it was to see white people. So I'm like, I was panicking because I couldn't find him because I was blind. I had to take off my glasses because there was no point in wearing them when it was raining so hard. And it was just them acting a fool, and I was just panicking because I'm like, one of the only black people at this entire protest filled with white people. And especially because like when it really went left, because once we got back to the downtown area, that's when like the cops were all waiting for us. And I remember like all I saw with my blurry vision was these cops opening their car doors and pulling out would look like, obviously I knew there were like guns with rubber bullets, but it was, I just saw a gun figure, so I ran to the side of the building. And this is what pissed me off. When I ran to the side of the building, you know what I saw? Black and brown people hiding. It was just black and black people instinctually. We all instinctually ran and hid at the side of the building. It was literally just them there. I was like, oh my God. So then I'm seeing these white people brawling with the cops. I'm seeing them having a tug of war with the baton and stuff like that. I have it. They're again, like it really showed me they were just there for themselves. They're having a blast. They were doing the most. Again, white anarchy. And I remember that just pissed me off. And I'm just like, I remember I saw this white guy get maced, this white guy with dreadlocks get maced. And honestly, I in my head I was like, that's what you get. Like, what you think? You go brawl with the cops. Of course they gonna mace your ass. I'm sorry, like they just are. So like you're not gonna catch me fighting the cops. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna risk my life as a black person in that. So, you play super games to get super prizes.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I don't know what.
recommend fighting the cops.
No,
Just to
exactly.
have my vote out there.
No, exactly. So I would never lead my people to do that. And so, then eventually, like the cops was like, "Oh, there's just too many of them. We're outnumbered. This is a small town. We can't really like we can't control the crowd. So it was intense. So eventually, they moved. The protesters started moving. They just bulldozed through the cops and just started going because I think there was like only like 4 cars. So I'm like, it was very much what these 4 cars gonna do for all of these 100 plus people, maybe 120. And you maybe got like 8, 10 cops.
What
It
a
was not
crazy
fun.
experience.
So you think anyone's gonna organize? And they're like, oh, I don't think so. I don't know. I was like, you know what? Well, I might as well do it. So I made an art flyer. I did some art for a flyer. I posted on Instagram. I got in touch with, which I'm pissed that I did this, but it happened. It happened. I got in touch with that white organization with the first protest because they have a big Facebook page. So I was able to like broadcast it. And yeah, I ended up having the protest the next week. It had the most turnout out of them all combined. Because they're the protests, they had like maybe just a little bit over 100. Mine had 300, over 300 people showed up. And I'm mind, this is a place where people be like not having rides, to be like tardy, they'd never be showing up. But no, people really came out. And it's so funny because it was at the park across the street from the same grocery store, the same Safeway where I got discriminated from. So it's like, oh, so you see how this came around. So you did that, and now look at where I'm at, leading this entire protest. And yeah, it was very interesting. I remember, there's some crucial things in that protest. I remember it was crazy the turnout. All these teachers came up and spoke, and they had. I remember it was like this woman of color teacher that really went in on her experience of how they were just putting her through hoops just to even have it. They basically made her a substitute for 12 years. It took her 12 years just for her to even get a full-time position, while they were just giving anyone else a full-time position. So she was like really crying and being canned. And mind, when she was speaking, she had like I believe like 8 different teachers standing behind her in solidarity while she spoke. So yeah, there was that. There was youth that were speaking, youth of color, youth of color that lived in the KKK. I almost caught myself. Lived in McKK that was sharing their experiences of them being followed in stores, racism experience, the N words, how they're the faculty at school and want to don't do anything about racism. People really shared their experience. And I remember what made me start to, because after this protest, halfway through that protest, I made it to where only people of color could speak. But I remember this old white lady came up. I just like walked up and just like I was like, oh, I guess you're gonna speak. Because I was like trying to choose people in the crowd, and this is before like I had like a whole process. And I remember she snatched that mic out of my hand. I was like, oh hell no! Now white people, y'all going last. So now then I like announced like I was like, if you have something to say, if you want to talk, speak, come to me. And I was telling anyone white, like, oh, well, I'm gonna put you back. I'm putting white people color first, and so amidst of the protest, I immediately like had a new process. I can definitely say like I do feel proud because I'm at a point where like I don't lead protests anymore. My last protest was this February. After how that went left. Always something. And again, like my history, because I always do a Black History Month protest. Always, always, always. Um, Last year's Black History Month, someone got sucker punched, so I had to end the protest early. White people just act out, and it just like was always like I always had security. Like first of all, I was so burnt out like organizing things. I'm not an organization. I'm one person. I'm one artist. So I would literally like put out a story on Instagram. I need volunteers. This is what I need. This is what I haven't got yet. I had to put Google Docs together. I had to put an Instagram, a group chat. I had to really chase people around, just make sure for these positions were covered. I had to make sure tables were there. I had to make sure medics, all these things I went into just to make sure we could even have the protests. So there was a lot of that.
And
So
like what you
dealing.
said, you're just like one person, you're just like one artist, right? Like a lot of people think if somebody puts out some videos, they must have a whole team working on stuff, but like that is just not the case, you know. It was not the case when I started. I could see that people were thinking like, "Oh, why have you gotten this out? Why haven't you gotten that out?" I'm like, I'm literally doing every single thing, you know. So I get you.
No, yeah. So, like I said, there was always a detractor. There was one time, the second protest, since I was, well, technically my third one. My first one is the one after George Floyd, but my second protest back. Um, so the next month, so it was insane. There was this guy that had a GoPro camera that was in people's faces, and I think at this point people were really catching on that I'm doing this monthly thing. This is going to be a regular basis, because it was done at our plaza. At our plaza, we're like, so it was very public. And I had this rule where you had to wear masks. You could not be anti-masker at this protest. Like, you're gonna have to get out of the space. Like, we're gonna try to make it as safe as possible for people. Like, we literally had like tables full of masks, hand sanitizer, everything they needed. And this person refused to wear a mask. So volunteers were trying to tell him to put on a mask. He refused to put on the mask. So I didn't really think about like that, because a lot of people were clout chasers at the end of the day. They're clout chasers. So I had to go and like do my little finger sign, like, come here. And I was very aggressively like pulled my hand back, like, bring your ass here right now. So you want to, and he was all excited to go see, like, oh, he got the attention of the organizer. And but so I walked him to the grass, but I didn't really like, I just wanted to talk to him myself. I didn't really think of having any volunteers, but because, I'm a Black woman, like, organizer, I'm talking to this like bigoted person by myself. These three Black men volunteers, like, I'll come walk with you. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to, but okay. And immediately this guy was like, they're gonna assault me. These Black guys are gonna assault me. Literally. And like, they were like, we're not gonna touch you. I'm like, they're not gonna do anything to you. Like, and he immediately said something to the effect something about their genital size and whatnot, to try to provoke them. And something like that. It was just out of the blue. And yeah, he was recording the whole time with his GoPro. And I remember, like, it was one of my friends that was like, see, he's trying to he wants me to excel. He wants me to do something, but I'm not. But he's trying to like bait us into do stuff. And I'm like, and at this point, I was so over it. I'm like, you know what? Now you're doing too damn much. I literally told verbatim, like, now you're doing too damn much. Like, either you put on this fucking mask or you keep your white ass in this grass over here, and then walked off. I was so over it. Verbatim. That's exactly what I said. I was over it. 5 minutes later, he comes back. He tries to comes back into the center of the plaza. So I was like, oh, no, 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 you're not about to do this. So I wasn't really thinking about how I'm the organizer. So what people are gonna like freak out if I'm physically, trying to stop this guy. So he tries to come in. I put my like body out with my arms straight out, like, oh, you're not gonna go past me. You're not gonna come in here. He stepped left, I stepped left. He stepped right, I stepped right. That's exactly what I did. And I remember like so he saw how persistent I was, and he like brushed up against me, and he's like, you assaulted me. And I'm like, no, you brushed up against me, while you're on the camera. And then like, he's like, you're gonna make me step in this bush. And I was like, fuck that bush. I can give two fucks about that damn bush. You're not gonna come in here without a mask. And then all these people were like grouping up by me. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't really think about like, me. I was trying to have people focus on the speaker and just stop this guy, but no, no, no. Like, so it brought all this extra attention. And I had someone like volunteer something, maybe just like, let's just like back off from this. But someone went in and snatched his GoPro, and they were playing hot potato with it until they smashed it. Uh, and so he called the cops. So I was like, oh hell no. I had to go like after the last speaker was done. I was like, I had to get. I'm like, hey, like, the guy, these people that thought they were helpful that were not my volunteers, broke this guy's camera. So he called the pigs. So either we're gonna thug it out and stay here and finish off this protest, or it's time to go. And people stayed. They actually stayed. Like, no one left. And I was able to wrap it up and leave. And then I came back, I think like a week later, and I was on the front page of my school's paper, and then they had a photo of the actual guy, the the GoPro guy and whatnot, and it was like people like breaking down like the whole situation. So it really, really blew up, and I had like, again, like, even like I said, for my first purchase, articles written on me, but I have multiple articles from there. I started doing interviews locally. I really started speaking more on it, not just at my protests, but yeah. So I really, really like was trying to like start a movement locally, because I felt the approach. Because what I was saying in my protest, like, the approach I've been getting, like, it clearly hasn't gotten on number. You're clearly over here, it's coddled, whatnot. Like, I'm not here to cuddle white people. That's not my mission. I'm a Black trans woman. I'm expected not to live past 30. I don't have time for that. So let's keep it real. So that's where I was. I've also had some pushback from us, what I call them white whisperers. That's from a poem I had. But I had like this one BIPOC man. He's specifically Hispanic. Um, he was basically saying that I was mean to white people and that I make white people feel unwelcomed or uncomfortable with my protests. And I'm like,
I
oh,
mean,
really?
yeah. Like,
No, I was really like, oh, really? White people are telling you that? Oh, your white friends? Well, too fucking bad. I don't give a damn. The protest was never for them, and if they feel that way, then then that's clearly the problem, and so they don't want to reflect. You don't like my style. You don't like my delivery style. Well, too bad. At the end of the day, like I'm not here to hold white people's hands. If that's what you want to do, if you want to be white whisperer, you do that. So he felt very offended. I was reading him, honey. He got red. I was like, you will come because I would approach you, event. He just said he asked, "Can I talk to you? Kind of sit with talking?" I'm like, sure. I'm thinking it's gonna be like a casual conversation about like the work I do and whatnot in the space. For it to turn into that, I was like, "You're not about to come to a protest event and think you'll talk to me with bring this bullshit to my table?" Nah. So it turned into the entire approach event. I was literally debating this guy the entire time because I was like so frustrated. I was like, "What you mean?" It's not. I was very much like, if you feel this way and this is the better approach, when then you go lead a protest. You go galvanize people. You go organize and do that and go get a turnout of folks and you do that. So don't come into what I got going on because I know exactly my approach and where I'm taking things. So, and then I wrote a poem and performed it the next week and he wasn't there magically. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote this just for you, performed it. And everyone knew exactly who I was talking about. It was so funny. People were like, is that about Oscar? I'm like, yeah, you damn right it is. You like, so it was very clear. Like people were able to put two together. Like this person has been tone policing Black and brown people on their approach. And I was very much like, you are not Black. So how are you going to tell me how to liberate Black, how to speak about Black issues and on whatnot? Like, you're not Black. And like, to try to tone police me. Like, I'm a trans woman, I'm a Black trans woman. Like, how dare you, as a cis non-Black man, come up to me and like try to like tell me how to run my protest? No. So I was reading, like I said, I was going in with the white whisperer and all, like, and to this day, I just glance at him. He glances at me. He knows, how it is. But because like even like the way like my approach with my protests, like my whole end statement, when I would tell people like Black people are allowed to exist and educate in multiple ways. We're allowed to, we don't have to be a monolith. So like if you want to go to someone that wants to have your approach, that for your learning style, you go to them and they do that and they put in that mental energy to do that, but you're not going to force me to be like that. I don't have to. So I won't say like people that are like, because even with my own video essays, I'm not even the most, I'd be speaking in a soft ASMR voice. So I get it. I 100% get it. So I kind of, my protest approach, I say that usually for my protest. That's the kind of my protest style. I kind of want to like kind of reach folks that I normally wouldn't. They'd probably hear me out more because I speak softly. I'll be talking about really strong topics, but it's my delivery. I get it. I get it.
I did
And
notice that, yeah, in your video essays. And by the way, you do a very good job with that. With your delivery is like impeccable. So well done.
no, thank you. Yeah, I feel like with that, because it was a very intentional thing, is that I want people to be able to be soothed with not just the art but my voice, and them to hear like me talk about like actual like important topics and phenomenons, and really just like they'll really lend their ear and really like pay attention. So it's a style, it's an approach, it's a tactic, and there's multiple tactics that can be used, and I feel we can all exist and approach many ways. And that's the one thing I feel like people are very shocked when they find out about me, that like, oh, like that's how you, because usually, because like I'm like that's how I am on YouTube, and when I get on streams you really hear like I really be talking. So like, no, that's right, YouTube videos, like that's something that's going to exist online for however long it will. So like I want to put that as, because to me it's like an educational work, so I want it to be up there in a way that I feel would be able to reach people more. So yeah, and so, but if we're gonna have a one-on-one conversation, whether in person, on stream, or whatnot, like, you know I'm gonna just talk as me. Like, this is not a video essay that I'm gonna do multiple cuts or keep redoing the line over and over, etc. Like, no, like you're gonna get the what's the word, uncensored, just can it, just unfiltered approach. So yeah.
Cool. Well, um, like I'm impressed by you. Is all I could say. I think that it's amazing the fortitude that you've shown through this experience and the organizing that you did, the care that you took, and the introspection that you did afterward in order to decide to pivot a little bit to the video essays. The decision to self care, all of it. Really well done. You're growing. You're learning yourself, and but you're not afraid to put yourself out there. Your bravery shines through. So it's pretty cool. I guess I just try to think about, the future. What do we want to happen? What about you? As a black trans content creator, as a black trans woman, what do you want to happen for the future? What is your ideal future for trans people in specifically
Intersectionality.
America, let's say?
Intersectionality. I'm gonna say that right now. We're not gonna get anywhere and we don't do intersectionality. People don't actually apply intersectionality truly. We're gonna be stagnant. We're gonna keep, you know, all in our little like echo chambers, our own little echo chambers, screaming, preaching for our own things. But if we don't actually have intersectionality to actually bring us all together, you know, like we're having this trans genocide going on right now. If we really want to fight back, the best way is to have intersectionality. But again, like a lot of people don't want to do that. People don't want to put in the effort, the work, and whatnot. They want to have the easiest answers for them, who they believe is the best answer for them. That stays within the lines of what they consider is too not too radical for them, etc. So, that's
So
just
we
like
got to build that
that's
revolutionary mindset in people, right?
no, yeah, but that really comes down to like it's people just lack intersectionality, and that just needs to like really like that's what my whole thing is. Like I want to teach more about intersectionality. I want to talk about it more. I want to really show more examples of how to show intersectionality to Black trans folks or trans folks of color. I'm gonna keep saying intersectionality all the time because that really is the root issue of a lot of these things. Is people just lack intersectionality. So I would say once we can get to that, then I can kind of think more about bigger things. Because I know because a lot of people have intersectionality, a lot of other things would not exist. A lot of things would be dealt with. People wouldn't just give grants to these trans orgs that don't give a damn about Black trans folks or trans folks of color that are dealing with just like specific issues that are relegated to because of their race. So there's a lot of just things that I feel intersectionality will literally like
Yeah.
take care of. And it's just like at the end of the day, like if people aren't working towards that intersectional future, if they're not like conscious about that, then we're gonna be going in circles. We're gonna make, or not even just circles, but obviously like we're gonna make very baby step processes while people are like committing suicide and people are dying, people are losing their health care, people are being detransitioned. The entire one state is trying to make it to where you can't transition until you're, I believe, 25, 26 to even get on HRT. I believe that was, I don't know, it was Tennessee or whatnot, but it was one of them states. Yeah, so there's just so much that's going on. Like at the end of the day, like um I'm not very much like when you're ready to get serious, come talk to me. When you want to talk about the intersection, come on me. But at the end of the day, like I'm gonna do my talk, but because I have a lot of people that try to like force people to unite, and I'm like, you're not gonna, class reductionists, as I would call them. But there's a lot of people that are like, it's the same way they do to Black leftists. Like these white leftists will be like, come on, we have to unite, we have to go against this bigger power. And it's like, hey, but like you ain't addressing this, and this. You don't even acknowledge reparations. You think reparations is not even something worth fighting for. So how can I unite with you if we're gonna have this conflation here? Like, no, like so that's the same way with the trans community. Like a lot of us, like we'd rather just stick to other Black folks and trans folks of color and intersectional leftists, trans leftists that get us, that actually understand us and actually will hear us. And it is a smaller space in the sad reality. It really is. It probably is the smallest space. Well, the second smallest, because the smallest space is Black trans folks. But you
It's kind
know,
of a catch-22, right? Because either way, either approach, you are going to take baby steps, right? Because
yeah,
ultimately, through keeping your own safety and sanity, by making content with and like communicating with people who actually understand you and the experience that you're having in your life. um, you're just going to kind of capture people on the edges who happen to like, find you and like your message resonates, or maybe they become curious or interested and they want to learn more. um, but then you can't force, like you said, you can't force people to come together and build some kind of fake unity, because that doesn't hold any power or weight or influence, and it falls apart at the slightest. I guess I just try to think about the future. What do we want to happen? What about you, as a Black trans content creator, as a Black trans woman? What do you want to happen for the future? What is your ideal future for trans people, and specifically
Intersectionality.
America, let's say?
Intersectionality. I'm gonna say that right now. We're never gonna get anywhere and we don't do intersectionality. People don't actually apply intersectionality truly. We're gonna be stagnant. We're gonna keep, you know, all in our little like echo chambers, our own little echo chambers, screaming, preaching for our own things. But if we don't actually have intersectionality to actually bring us all together, you know, like we're having this trans genocide going on right now. If we really want to fight back, the best way is to have intersectionality. But again, like people, a lot of people don't want to do that. People don't want to put in the effort, the work, and whatnot. They want to have the easiest answers for them, who they believe is the best answer for them. That stays within the lines of what they consider is too not too radical for them, etc. So, you know, um,
So we
that's
so
just
we
like
got to build that
that's
revolutionary mindset in people, right?
no, yeah, but that really comes down to like it's just people just lack intersectionality, and that just needs to like really like I that's what my whole thing is like. I want to teach more about intersectionality. I want to talk about it more. I want to really show more examples of how to show intersectionality to Black trans folks or trans folks of color. I'm gonna keep saying intersectionality all the time because that really is the root issue of a lot of these things. Is just people just lack intersectionality. So I would say once we can get to that, then I can kind of think more about bigger things. Because I know, because a lot of people have intersectionality, a lot of other things would not exist. A lot of things would be dealt with. People wouldn't just give grants to these trans orgs that don't give a damn about Black trans folks or trans folks of color that are dealing with just like specific issues that are relegated to because of their race. So there's a lot of just things that I feel intersectionality will literally like
Yeah.
take care of. And it's just like at the end of the day, like if people aren't working towards that intersectional future, they're not like conscious about that, then we're gonna be going in circles. We're gonna make, or not even just circles, but obviously like we're gonna make very baby step processes while people are like committing suicide, and people are dying, people are losing their health care, people are being detransitioned. The entire one state is trying to make it to where you can't transition until you're, I believe, 25, 26 to even get on HRT. I believe that was, I don't know, it was Tennessee or whatnot, but it was one of them states. Yeah, so there's just so much that's going on. Like at the end of the day, like um I'm not very much like, when you're ready to get serious, come talk to me. When you want to talk about the intersection, come on me. But at the end of the day, like I'm gonna do my talk, but because I have a lot of people that try to like force people to unite, and I'm like, you're not gonna, class reductionists, as I would call them. But there's a lot of people that are like, it's the same way they do to Black leftists. Like these white leftists will be like, come on, we have to unite. We have to go against this bigger power. And it's like, hey, but like you ain't addressing this and this. You don't even acknowledge reparations. You think reparations is not even something worth fighting for. So how can I unite with you if we're gonna have this conflation here? Like no, like so that's the same way with the trans community. Like a lot of us, like we'd rather just stick to other Black folks and trans folks of color and intersectional leftists, trans leftists that get us, that actually understand us and actually will hear us. And it is a smaller space in the sad reality. It really is. It probably is the smallest space. Well, the second smallest, because the smallest space is Black trans folks. But you
It's kind
know,
of a catch-22, right? Because either way, either approach, you are going to take baby steps, right? Because
yeah,
ultimately, through keeping your own safety and sanity, by making content with and like communicating with people who actually understand you and the experience that you're having in your life, um, you're just going to kind of capture people on the edges who happen to like, find you and like your message resonates, or maybe they become curious or interested and they want to learn more. But then, you can't force, like you said, you can't force people to come together and build some kind of fake unity, because that doesn't hold any power or weight or influence. And it falls apart at the slightest.